Greetings! This is my strength scaling tier list. So, this took 7 hours of stream time over a course of a couple of days. And you all saw me test these, those of you guys who tuned in on stream. So, the purpose of this is to rate strength scalers unbiasedly using the same amount of starting permanent strength and the tentacles, and then the temporary strength they get, to see who benefits the most from strength scaling that has a strength scaling multiplier gimmick. Now, what do I mean by strength scaling multiplier gimmick? Let's head to the game so I can explain to you how I pick these units. I found every unit that has a thing that says 300% strength bonus or X% strength bonus. And then I compared them to see who scales the best in an optimal burst turn for them. And these are my findings and how I rate them. I will go over it and with some footage in this video. But the full testing footage is in a separate video because I'm going to farm content. So I'm going to show some footage here and my methodology and the numbers and blah, blah, blah. I use it with peer. So let's go back to the spreadsheet. I can explain each unit, how they work briefly. So the best out of all the strength scalers, if you're playing it right, if you're not dog shit like some players, like Haley, for example, who doesn't know how to play Cath, she is the best. S tier strength scaler. She takes advantage of strength the best out of any unit here. The only reason why you see Girona having this much damage is because it was a 33x strength multiplier and it took 11 turns in order to get me this much permanent strength. I did put in the notes, and I'll update this. This will be uploaded into the main spreadsheet after I release this video. I will make it neater because the numbers aren't exact right now. I need to go over the footage. So I'm going to go over some of the footage with you. So without further ado, let's go over the Cath footage. So this was me on stream a few days ago while I was testing it with a lot of viewers. I think it was like 30 something viewers, not a lot. So this is a Cath burst turn. Now, again, this is 1373 strength. On this spreadsheet, I have a different number. Why? Because I divided it on temporary and permanent strength. Well, I don't actually have 1400 strength. So I'm going to click on it now, and I'll show you how much strength I have in a second. Yeah, here we go. So again, this is actually how much permanent strength I have at the start of the turn here. This is temporary strength. Now, why don't you just do it with strength everywhere? That will not be indicative of the actual power level of these units, because some team comps gain temporary strength over the course of the fight if you're playing them right. If you're not fucking retarded like other content creators. Because you see how we start with only 1200 strength? You notice on my spreadsheet I hit 4,000 strength? That was because I know how to play a burst turn right. Because the optimal way to play a Cath is not like all those fucking retards playing Cath. You can do hyper flare multiple times a turn. If your burst turn for Cath is one hyper flare, you're playing her wrong. Because the more hyper flares you do, the stronger she gets. It's better to do 2 hyper flares than 1 big hyper flare in order to get the mana stuff. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Because the combination of her wheels, the relics you typically get, Riker dices, Karen. Again, if you're not using Riker, you're not using Karen, you're not playing Cath right. If you're playing Ultra Cath, I'm sorry, it's not the strongest Cath. So, again, this is, I'm going to speed up. So the first hyper flare here was only, well, it's more better than Dorisine already. Was only, let's see. Because remember, Cath can do this multiple times on like Dorisine. Multiple times on turn. First hyper flare was 585,000 damage. She already beats Dorisine on this. I already beat Dorisine. And then you start, and then you keep going, because you got the Karen Exalt, you have the Hamel, you have the O-Gear, for as example. So you keep going. Now you have the Exalt, and you have all the Marvelous Cuisines to build up for a second Hyper Flare. Now, a triple Hyper Flare turn is possible. Someone has done it, but it's extremely hard to pull off. I did not showcase it here. But if you play it optimally and your stars are aligned for a triple Hyper Flare turn, it's 5 million damage. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen for a triple Hyper Flare turn. Double Hyper Flare turns are very easy to do. So let me just speed this up. Again, the full footage unsped up will be released after this video. If you're curious to see how to play it, how I did it. So I shuffled the Fiamma. I got the Overexalt. I shuffle. Shuffle. I Solar Flare. We're at 982,000 damage now. Shuffle. Posse. Exalt. And now, you notice this is the same turn. It went from 1500 strength to 3700 strength. How flares? Wheel, Karen, relics. If you're playing it right with the Marvelous Cuisines and all the crit and more Fiammas. Remember, every Fiamma you get, everything you get will buff this immensely, and 2.5 million. So that's an example of a Cath. That is the gold standard S tier, the strongest one in my testing. So the next best strength scaler or strength user that has a strength scaling card is Gellet. Now, the problem with Gellet is that I could not get to the 800, 900 permanent strength that you see me get on everyone else. Because you notice how everyone, I try to aim for 900, 800 permanent strength. Yeah, that was basically impossible to get on Gellet. Because the boss will either kill you or you're dead. Because you got to have the boss alive. Because she's excels at multiple burst turns, and she's going to kill the boss before she reaches the 900 strength. So you can just multiply the damage. You can just double this. And it's basically the same. So again, roughly the same amount of damage as Cath. It's just that unlike Cath, her survivability is doing damage. And there's no boss in the game that has enough health for me to actually scale Gellet up that high. Because unless you're fucking retarded, you know how strong Gellet is. So, how much did she do with 475 permanent strength and 1,139 strength at turn end? Why is it at turn end flares? Because we got the Jade Imprint Relic. Because we need to use boss that had invuln for our damage number to count. Now, let me recap why I do my testing this way. For all you guys who do not know. So, bosses, like, I need to do it on a boss that has a second life bar that has invuln. Why? There's no training dummy in this game. And these bosses, when you continue doing damage to them after they're invulnerable, the damage count goes up. That's why I say we can't ash. That's the only way to test the damage on these meta units, you know, at Wailed Out. So, I can't actually live long enough to get to 900 strength on Gellet without using her bleed healing cards. And if I use her bleed healing cards, the boss is dead. So, she's the next best, because even with only half the amount of strength as Cath, she did 1.3 million damage. Again, I will get the exact numbers and copy them to the spreadsheet after this video. But I'm just making a video now on stream. So, the next best, Girona. Now, Girona does as much damage as Cath, arguably more than Gellet. Why is she lower than Gellet? She does not provide heals. she does not provide as much utility as a Gellet does. And unlike both Cath and Gellet took 5 turns to hit this much strength, or you die. This was 11 turns of double posseing in order for me to hit 880 strength, and over those 11 turns, the card got a 33x strength multiplier. So why are these two numbers different? I will explain. This is how much damage Girona herself actually did. This is 1 predetermined strike exhausted. This is me playing to Will's predetermined strikes. I got a bunch of Tawil's predetermined strikes in order to simulate if I had multiple Giromona's predetermined strike, because they're basically the same unit. They're the same person in lore. So this is how much for one of her cards, and if I played her optimally with multiple predetermined strikes in a row, this is how much it would do after 11 turns of double posseing with this much strength. So it's 2.5 million damage with 1 predetermined strike exhausted card. In case you were curious, with this much strength it ended up with. Very end of the battle, I had this much strength. Very start of turn, I had this much strength. So Goliath surprised me and a lot of people on stream. Now Goliath, he started turn with 377 strength because Goliath scales both strength and tentacle damage. So I can't really build strength that hard without muddying the waters. So we only had this much strength, and when I exalted last option Goliath, I got 3,000 strength, which is higher than most units here, just from its exalt. This is not from relics, this is not from anything, it's just from its exalt after 5 turns. I did not use G Murphy exalt. I did not do anything with G Murphy except for scale and gain key flare. So with 3,000 strength after his exalt, his full burst with 5 blades, maybe it was 6 blades, was 1.9 million damage. I actually have the screenshot here. This was 1 turn, because I did not do anything else. This was 1 turn. So 1.9 million damage. Total damage, 2.1 million damage if you include tentacles. It was 200,000 damage of tentacle damage. So he's actually a really good strength scaler. Post buff, wailed out Goliath with this much strength, this much damage. Again, additional notes. He also scales from number of tentacles, your tentacle damage, so there are other factors besides strength. So, Jenkins, the next best, C+ in this strength scaling tier list. Now, Jenkins, Daffodil, Uvos, Dorisine, they all have very, 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 very similar full burst turn damage. Now, the only difference is their utility, which is what I rank. So, and what type of damage it is. So, Jenkins, start of the turn, 935 strength. End of the turn, 1400 strength. Now, remember, her exalt gives crit damage. She gives additional crit damage as well. So this is the result of an optimal turn with 3 swarm impacts and 4 Get 'em Browns with this much strength. So it was 655,000 damage. Now, this is how much damage if I had caster corrosion. It was 1.2 mil. That's why I put it in parentheses. This is not realistic. Look at this number. You can ignore this. This is just one additional notes, basically. If you were to run over caster, This just doubles it because of the cast corrosion. It overcorrodes. Why is she higher than Daff, Uvos, Dorisine? Because Jenkins provides more utility for team, and all of her damage is mostly AoE. There's some single target with the swarm impacts, but a lot of it is the AoEs from Get 'em Browns. So it helps you clear mob waves. That's more useful. And it's more consistent damage compared to the next 3 units. Not to say they aren't good. That's why Daffodil is also in C tier. So Daffodil, 966 strength. Now, unlike the others, I have to explain in detail what her strength scaling component consists of. So, start of the battle, start of the turn, 966 strength before I went full burst. This is the total damage in theory. I could not show you the real damage because the boss will be dead. Why would the boss be dead, Flares? Because Daffodil inflicts numerous ailments on the enemy if you're playing her right. Remember, her exalt, she's the weaker to will of Ultra. When you exalt on her or over exalt on her, you choose between one of 3 cards. A poison card, a counter card, or a pure damage card. I'm going to break down how much each card does, and you can see the thing in the video if you want to verify. So, each Exalt card poison is 30,000 damage, 30,000 poison, basically. And her Overexalt gets you 3 of them. So, it's a little bit more than that. It's like 32, 33. So, it's 100,000 damage if you go full poison on her Exalt. Or if you go full poison and you save it. And each inflict 30,000 poison. So you get 90,000 poison. So that's an additional damage that's not included. That I did not include. Because poison is permanent on the boss. It ticks down every turn. It adds up. So even though her damage is similar to Dorisine and Uvos, it's technically more if it's the poison option. Then we go on to the counter option. The counter option is slightly stronger. It's going to be 80 to 90,000 damage a card. It's going to inflict, it's going to give you 150 to 300,000 counter, depending on how much you crit. However, it's temporary counter, and it's affected by how many times the boss hits you. So I did not include that into here. That's another factor you have to include when you talk about Daffodil. That's temporary counter. Now the final option, which is pure Giga Strength. It did 100 and I think, okay, well, how much did it in? 3 of them did 420,000 damage. Was what the math came down to. So 420,000 damage for her last card for a burst turn. And her Skull Reaver did 97,000 damage. So I included an optimal turn, and that's what the math comes out to if you do not include the poison tick damage. Uvos. Uvos, starting the turn with 1,016 permanent strength. It's a little less than that. I need to get the exact values, but it's the same amount of strength as these units. His full burst turn is 597,000 damage. Again, when you overexalt on Uvos, you fill your hand with Screech Bloods that are 0 cost, depending on your hand size. Every time you play a Screech Blood, you get additional strength. So after playing all the Screech Bloods, you get this much. So he scales up over the course of a turn. So at the very end, it's 600,000 damage with this much strength. So he does the same amount of damage. So shout out the person who inspired me to make this comparison video, who says that they believe Uvos does more damage than Dorisine. So I went and tested this just because of you, random person. And factually speaking, you were right. With the same amount of strength as Dorisine, or near the same amount of strength, Uvos just barely beats Dorisine. So you can now see with proof. I'm actually going to show you the footage here. I'm not going to even save for the video. I'm going to show you the footage of the proof in the pudding here. So this is from the stream.
Permanent strength. It's literally twice as much as I gave Goliath.
So I did the Dorisine test after Goliath. I was memeing on stream. Everyone was watching. We all placed bets on how much Dorisine would do. So let me recap for you guys what happened here. I scaled up strength. Turn 6. We have 1,777 strength. At the start, we had less, but a lot of it is temporary strength from all of these relics. From all these factors, from Pikmin, like an optimal burst turn. Again, I did an optimal burst turn, comp, whatnot. So, triple corpses, wailed out over Exalt Dorisine. All these relics from Pikmin. Literally, Pikmin dies Aegis.
All those have all these fucking Pikmin relics. I have
I'm gonna let pass flares.
I have a wailed out plus 12 Dorisine Overexalt.
I'm at 1 HP.
And I played all those cards.
Oh, also, by the way, so you see this crit rate? I fed 3 to 4 babies to Dorisine before I exalted him. I tried to make this bias in favor of Dorisine as much as possible. That's how much damage Dorisine does. Do you want me to go back to Cath again? Just rewind the video at the very start when I went over Cath. He has more this is once. And why is the number 920,000 flares? Because he cheated. Because Dorisine cheated. Okay? That's the fact of the matter. Dorisine cheated. So, here, that's why I wrote down overflow. It was actually 920. Let me fix that. Because it was overflow damage. Okay? From pushing the boss. That didn't even count. This is why testing's important, unlike those fucking retards. Because, if you just look at the numbers, they lie to you if you don't know where the numbers come from. So, the real damage was 540,000 damage for his Exo. That's the real damage plus his cards, plus his Evernice. This is his real damage. This is the fake bullshit damage. And even the fake bullshit damage is worse than all these burst turns here. And, let's go. So, you can't say I manipulated anything. Can we change the spreadsheet tier list now and put Dorisine below Uvos? Do we do that? He does. He's good for new players, though. He's good for new players because of his overflow gimmick. And he does one-shot normal story mode for new players. He's very good in easy content. He's better than Uvos in easy content. He's the best unit to pull for if you're never going to play endgame. If you never, ever, ever, ever touch endgame. Dorisine is very good, which is why he's B tier on the general tier list. He's very, very, very good if you never touch the endgame content. If you never, ever touch endgame, he's good. I'm not gonna... but yeah, this is how much. Yeah, cheated. Cheated. And very end. 2,116 strength. By the way, this strength applies before the Exalt hits the boss. So he had this much strength for his Exalt. So, that is Dorisine. So, this is Uvos. This is why I put Uvos above Dorisine. This is an Uvos burst turn.
We have 1300 strength.
So again, this is 734 permanent strength. I should probably update it with this much. I'll do it in a little bit. And this is temporary strength. This is the start of the turn.
7, so it's less.
Overexalt on Uvos. I played the chromophages. That's why I had much of strength. 5 turns. Same as Dorisine. I brought Dorisine here, by the way, to strength scale Uvos. And Uvos scales every time he exalts. This is a standard unit, by the way. His exalt did 160,000 damage, and he fills your hand with Screech Bloods. Now, I'm missing 2 Screech Bloods because I couldn't empty my hand completely. My bad, guys.
All these Screech Bloods.
So this is after playing all the Screech Bloods. So it was... So I don't know if you cut that. This was 480 plus all this bleed that goes away when we phase him. So that's why I ended up with that damage, because of the bleed he inflicted. In case you guys were curious. So that was Uvos, a standard unit, wailed out. And with the bleed value and everything added up, it was this much. Yeah. So this is Uvos alone. Full burst turn damage. And most of it was AoE. Only 160,000 of it was single target. It was 160,000. It was 430,000 damage of AoE. This is all single target. This is AoE. So, Nymph. I put Nymph here as a meme. Because, technically, she's the last unit that's a strength scaling card. I needed Dorisine to win. At something. So he's not F tier. He's D tier for Dorisine. Nymph is the worst strength scaler in the game. Complete dog shit. Complete dog shit. Kill yourself, Nymph. You're weaker than Dorisine. You only did 35,000 damage. Now, you notice that the numbers are the exact same as Girona. How did I do this? When I was running the Girona test, all I did was I exalted onto Will. I got a Nymph card, and I played it. And this is how much damage it does and how much poison it inflicted. Around this much. It was a pure meme. I did not, because there's no Nymph super whales. You know? So I just use it to Will. Let's go in-game to explain why Nymph counts. Why did I not include other units? Why did I not include Will? Doesn't count. Doesn't count. Doesn't have a strength scaling card. Nymph counts. Okay, we gotta even player fields. Otherwise, because you know why? Look! See this? Enjoy a 2x strength bonus on the 2-cost card. So, you can factually say Dorisine is not the worst strength user in the game that has a card, an exalt, or an ability that enjoys a strength bonus. Factually speaking, even though this is not the right way to play Nymph, if you're using Nymph on a strength scaling team, it's worse than Dorisine. Because their card has a 2x strength scaling bonus. This is facts and logic, folks. You can't debate me on this, okay? She's a strength scaling. No. O-Gear is not a strength. Wait, you're right. 300%. I gotta go and test. O-Gear. He has the one card. Oh my gosh. My data. The video needs to be made. I didn't do O-Gear. How did I miss O-Gear's 2-cost card? I'm a fraud! Oh, all I need to do is play slightly worse. That'd be worse than fucking Kaylee. Oh no! O-Gear's a strength hammer. Maybe O-Gear is the secret. But no, he's not gonna do better than Dorisine. I know enough to do that. Dorisine beats out O-Gear. Now, if you guys can show me the case otherwise, I'm gonna say it right now without doing any testing. Without doing any testing based on Nymph, I can confidently say, most likely, Dorisine beats O-Gear. Most likely. Maybe as a meme, one of you guys run O-Gear, get him to 900 permanent strength, and tell me how much damage his piercing strike does. But I'm too lazy. I spent 7+ hours making this video to do a meme comp where I know he's going to be F tier because he's not a strength DPS. That concludes this video, though.